now we touched on it earlier. We said we'd get back to it. You mentioned, how Pat O'Ward had a car to compete with Scott Dixon. So let's go ahead and discuss. We have one hot or cold question this week. If you're new to the show, we give out a take instead of say whether or not it's a hot take or a cold take. And the take here is Scott Dixon will win a second Indy 500. And I'm just laying it out there. I mean, so to start off here, the 2023 Indy 500 will be the 15th race since Dixon won in 2008. 15 years is the longest stretch between wins for a repeat winner. Juan Pablo Montoya won as a rookie in 2000, then won again in 2015.
Put an asterisk on that one. Juan Pablo Montoya won the Indy 500 and then left for Formula One and NASCAR before coming back to run the Indy 500 again.
Right. But I mean, it's still longest stretch.
Yeah.
Scott Dixon became the all-time lap leader, as you mentioned earlier, B. Scott. We talked about his 5 poles last week. He had the pole in 2008, obviously led 115 laps and won. 2015, he led 84 laps, finished 4th. In 2017, he crashed, finished 32nd. That was the scary wreck where he literally went into the fence on the inside.
He flew over Elio.
Yeah. And then in 2021, he led 7 laps, finished 17th. In 2002, he led 95 laps and finished 21st. He also led the most laps in 2009, 2011, 2020, and 2022. Dixon's been in 20 Indy 500, so he sat on the pole for a fourth of them and has led the most laps in nearly a third of them that he's competed in. And oh, by the way, during that time, he's also won 6 IndyCar titles. So it's not like he's, been one of those drivers that just kind of always be the bridesmaid, but never the bride. It just seems to be this race.
Well, I've always said, for some people, winning the Indy 500 is it. For Scott Dixon, it's a longer game. It's always been a longer game for him.
Yeah, that's true. But also in Dixon's 20 years at the track, 15 different drivers have won Indy 500. The only drivers to win multiple races in that span: Castro Neves, his one-time teammate Dario Franchitti, who's the only driver to win multiple 500s for Ganassi. Dan Weldon, who is a front stretch away from still being an only one-time winner. And Takuma Sato, who has won 2 races as well. So, I mean, you could argue that the 2000s into the 2010s into the 2020s, this stretch of 20, 25 years may be the toughest that it's ever been to, the most competitive fields that we've had. Because, I mean, not to take anything away, I'm sure, when drivers were winning 3 or 4 races in 1940 and 51, those were competitive for the time as well. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I mean, you think about all the different, great drivers we've had during that time. It was, because, I mean, it kind of, for the longest time, I remember when he was at Panther, we talked about it a little bit last week as well, Sam Hornish Jr. won pretty much every race but the Indy 500, and it was only when he moved to Penske that he won. And it kind of seems like the same for Dixon, not saying he's going to do anything with going to Penske. I'm sure he'll be at Ganassi throughout the rest of his career.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, I'm sure unless he just, it would take something pretty crazy to happen. But, at the same time, I mean, you're with a team that's only won it 5 times, and Dario did 2/5 of that. It's hard to wrap your head around the fact that there's a driver as decorated as Scott Dixon, who only has 1 500. But like I said, I think it's just the product of how competitive it is. How much more difficult it is to win multiple 500s, because it's not your only other major example, even if you want to extend it beyond the 20 that Dixon's been in, I mean, if you extend it back to 2000, I mean, Elio's the only one Elio and Dario are the only ones that have won 3 plus. So it's not there's it's been pretty much everybody else but Dixon in terms of all the names. I mean, Will Power only has 1. If you want to go to a drive, I mean, I don't think he's been as decorated as Dixon has. Joseph Newgarden has 0. He's been the one battling with Dixon.
I'm done picking Joseph Newgarden to win the Indy 500.
He's been another driver that's been competitive as Dixon over the last 5 or so years. He doesn't have one. So I think it just shows you how tough the fields are. So I'd love to be wrong, but I'm going to go into the camp of He won't, but also doesn't need to. I know that they were like kind of comparing it. I mean, I would love to see him win it. I'm not saying he like. I mean, I guess I am technically saying he won't by going cold here, but it's not one that like I'm not gonna winning 2. I think it gets really it's a slippery slope to go down when you start like comparing titles and comparing like when you go into like that ring chasing type of mindset because like Peyton Manning's 2 are way different from Eli Manning's 2. Like, are you saying, Drew Brees has 1, and you're saying just because he doesn't tag one on at the end, like Peyton did, that he doesn't have as remarkable of a career as Peyton? When you start doing that, because like in the NBA, it was like, well, you have to win 1, and then you win 1, and it's like, actually, you have to win 2 and win 3, and the goalpost just keeps getting on further down the road. So, like, I don't think there's anyone trying to take anything away from Scott Dixon.
Oh gosh,
but
he's a historic career,
right? But I also think that, like, I don't think it takes anything away from him if he doesn't win. I mean, obviously he wants to do it. I'm not trying to say he doesn't want to win it or doesn't have the drive to win it or shouldn't have the drive to win it. I just think that I just think it's gonna be too tough. Also, He's what 41, and the oldest driver to win is 40. So
yeah,
maybe if
and how long ago was that?
No, that was Elio. Because wasn't Elio 46 or 47?
I'm pretty sure he's only like 40.
I don't think he's the oldest. Maybe he's not the oldest, but yeah, it's 47.
Pretty sure like Foyt was probably the oldest.
Yeah, let me look that up real quick while you answer.
Yeah,
here.
So I think it's cold as well, just because there's just something seems to not add up for Scott Dixon at the track. He dominates the entire month, is really good at qualifying it, but it just seems there's some sort of bad luck that bites him throughout the race. And you just can't put your finger on it. You're just kind of like, what is it? Why can't he get over that hump?
Al Unser, by the way, 47.
Al Unser, okay. I knew it was longer back than Elio, so. But yeah, I just think it's cold. I just feel like he's kind of, I don't know. There's just something that he can't get past. But like you said, with Ganassi, you feel like, oh my gosh, they're so freaking dominant all the time. They're winning poles at the 500 all the time. And then to hear that they only won, Ganassi's only won the Indy 500 5 times, and 2 of them were Dario Franchitti. No. One of them was only Dario.
No, 2 of them were Dario. Because Dario won in 2010, 2012. Because I got hung up on that too. But 2007 was in the Canadian Club car when he was with Andretti Autosport. So, I thought the same thing. I was like, oh man, it's literally been his teammate has been taking all the 500s. It's like, no, it took 2 of them. It's been and really it's only been. Granted, I don't know how much more like of a head start that Penske had on Ganassi, but at the same time, it's since
Penske also got to realize Rick Mears drove for Penske. Yeah. Ganassi wasn't around at the time. I mean, Penske goes,
and that's what I'm saying because Ganassi's first win was in 2000 with Juan Pablo. So it's literally been Juan Pablo, Scott Dixon's 1, Dario's 2, and then now Eric's.
And don't forget Dan Weldon.
No, Weldon's 2. Weldon's 2 are both with an iteration of Andretti Autosport. He won in 2005 in the Jim Beam car, and then he won with the William Rass sponsorship. Like I said, a front stretch away from not winning it if J.R. Hildebrand doesn't go high on a lap car and crashes on the last lap. So yeah, I mean, and it's tough to get lost in that because you forget how many drivers have driven, how many like
for Ganassi
at one point, because like Franchitti has obviously, Dixon has obviously, Weldon did for a time, and Weldon honestly, it might be more of a Ganassi curse as well, just in the sense that like, didn't Weldon win like 1 or 2 more championships with Ganassi than he did with Indy? I think he won the title in 05, but like, I know he won at least 1 or 2 more while in the 10 car. Maybe I'm thinking that stretch with the 10 car was a lot longer than it was. But I know there's a few races where he was up front at the 500 as well and didn't come. So, yeah, and I think that just goes to how tough it is to win. I don't think it's
that race.
I don't think it's as easy to win. I mean, think about how long the race has been, and there's only been I mean, maybe
four-time winners
or 4-time winners. I think it's like
look how long it took to get
7.
that fourth
right
4-time winner, and that was a guy that you just felt like he's destined to win 4. He's destined to win.
Won his
4.
first 2.
Yeah.
So
it's not easy. It's not an easy race to win, and that's why I keep telling my buddy, who's a big Connor Daly fan, it's like, look, he keeps getting better and better every year. He's leading laps. Some of these guys like Connor Daly and Pato O'Ward, they will eventually win it. It may take several tries, but they will both win it. At least they will both win it once. I'm not going to say more than once because that's a tough thing to do.
oh yeah.
But they will both win it once.